This is a demo of the Scenario 1 FTP Passthrough sample from the documentation. I'm running the tool to migrate using region South Central US and a deployment ID of VR280. The tool runs very quickly, going through the discover, parse, analyze, report, and convert phases. It creates a unique folder that contains the HTML files that have the report and a conversion folder that contains the Azure deployment scripts, including a deploy all PowerShell script. The HTML report shows summary run information along with the details of BizTalk applications that were processed and the Azure components that were created. We go into the FTP Passthrough application and it shows it was 97.5% successful in the conversion. If we look at the FTP receive location, we see it shows 4 stars out of 5. Scrolling down, there are warning messages about properties that were in BizTalk, but not available in the Azure FTP connector. Notably, the delete after download with a value of true, so files will remain on the FTP server unless a change is made to the Logic app. Next, I will deploy to Azure. So I'm logging into the Azure CLI here and getting into my account up in Azure. Then I'll go into PowerShell. And in the conversion folder, I run the deploy all script. Note, it is going to go to the South Central US. You'll see that in the notes here as it goes down through the subscription. We also notice that it's using that unique deployment ID of VR280. Now this is going to take a while to run, and it took about an hour for this to go all the way through. An hour has passed and the run is now complete. At this point, I can go look at my subscription in the Azure portal to see exactly what was created. I have 34 resources that have shown up there, a bunch of logic apps, some API connections, and as well as some function apps, an integration account, and Key Vault, all with names ending with the deployment ID of VR280 to help make it easier to find the items that were generated. Everything starts with the FTP receive location logic app. So that is where I will go first. I go in and I edit it in the Logic Apps Designer and see that I have connection problems. Well, that's because the scripts did not contain my correct FTP configuration. So I'm going to need to go fix that and into the API connections and change the receive connector to edit it and put in the correct FTP information. I also had to do that for the FTP send port, but I don't show that on this video. Here I'm putting in the information on the receive connector, get my correct server address. Once I get back to the Logic apps, I can take a look at my trigger history and I can see that where it used to say failed because it had the incorrect FTP information, now it's skipped, and that's because there is no file in the receive folder. At this point, I go back to my FTP server and I have my receive and my send folders there. I'll copy a sample file over to the receive folder, come back to my Logic app and take a look, and we've got a running instance of it now. I can go into that instance and take a look at the steps as they're running. And then note that in the background on the FTP server, a file has appeared in my send folder. And when I refresh on the Logic app, it showed that the run had succeeded. Over on the FTP server, I can take a look at the file that got created, and it's just a copy of the same file that I had put into the receive folder.